driving down a really narrow road, and, well, let's just say the telephone pole won. Oh, that's nice. Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. It's another day. We're taking a break today from the Suburban because I actually have another project we got to work on. My brother's 2020 Chevy Trailboss. Gorgeous truck. Bought it, I think, a year ago. And the other day, he was driving down a really narrow road. He works for my cousin, and he delivers food and stuff. And he was driving down a really narrow road. And, well, let's just say the telephone pole won. Luckily, it didn't do anything else to the truck. It just obliterated the mirror. I mean, it's still got the elements for the heat. Well, just throw a little glass in. It'll be all right. It's got that see-through effect. It's for aerodynamic. Anyways, he went and actually bought a new mirror. Got one at a salvage yard. It's actually cheaper. I think he spent a little over $300 as opposed to it normally being, I want to say, like $400 or $500 for. This is just a custom, and that's still pretty expensive. I mean, my truck, they're like $1,000-something a piece. And then the other thing I got to do today is I'm going to try and PDR. I hope you can see it right. This little mark that's right here. I'm hoping I can get some of that off, but you look, you can see there's a little dimple right there. He accidentally backed into a car. It bent the bumper a little bit. There's not much I can do with that, but it dented that, and I'm going to see if I can get that pulled back out. I'm pretty sure I can. I'm getting pretty good with that thing. So we'll get everything all set up, and tools you're going to need is a 7mm to take out, I want to say 5 bolts from the door panel. A trim removal tool would be best because they don't scratch plastic all up. And then you'll need, I think it's a 10mm for 4 bolts, or 4 nuts, I should say, for the mirror. And then it should come apart. It's really not too bad, but I'll double check on the sizes and I'll let you know as we go. Okay, I did find some of the glass left over, but we got everything all set up. One tool I forgot about to mention is you will need a pick. You're gonna need a pick because you need to get in here. There's a little notch, and you just kind of start popping it out. There's 4 clips that hold this in. This is the first piece to remove. It's kind of a pain to get in here because it's really, really tight. But you just kind of keep working it around and just keep slowly popping it out. And then you hit lock and unlock 1,000 times. Trim tool in there now, actually. Yep. Okay. We could. I say we can, then we can't, now we can. No, there we go. Now we can. This handle makes things extremely hard. Trying to work this around is kind of what I want to do. So I can get to that upper one and pop it out. But it doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. And just pop this. You got to be careful. You don't want to scratch the plastic all up. And that's all it is. It's just 4 clips. Hold it in and exposes the 7mm bolt here. Now this part here we're going to remove. Then there's 2 bolts down here at the bottom. So this part, let's get the trim tool in. Kind of want to start prying away from the front because this actually has a groove that slides into in the back. So this is not going to surprise me because I've already seen this happen. This will apparently not cooperate, and I'm going to have to remove the metal clips after. Yep, like I figured. All right, so there's 3 tabs and 3 clips that all go through. And I got to get these all removed back out, pop this back in. We'll worry about that after. But there's 2 bolts in here, 2 bolts down here, and then I just take the trim tool that I just threw on the floor and just pop everything apart, and then we'll lift the door panel off. It's actually not bad. I hated the generation before this because this piece up here you'd have to remove, take the door panel off, and it was always a nightmare to put back together. All right, so take our 7. This really isn't a horrible process to do. It's actually pretty easy. One thing I would suggest, I have to go get. One thing I would suggest is having a magnet. Makes things easier. You can pull the screws out. All right, now we got the 2 at the bottom. Okay, now take our trim tool, start at the bottom, start popping this thing off. And usually once you get it started with the trim tool, you can just kind of go around with your hand. Occasionally you might have a spot or two where you need to get the tool in there again, but for the most part it should just pop off. I say that, it should, like that. Here's some more, yep. Alright, just gonna kind of, again, finesse it back. There's one somewhere in here I'm missing. Feel it. Okay, why aren't you cooperating? Huh. Cool. What I can do. Little rubber boot. Get you back. I don't know why you're fighting me. That's why you're fighting me right there. There's my push pin. Way up in. There. All right, now we're going to bring you guys around. Make sure you can see this. Pull this out. Put that back up in there. Make sure you can see. All right, you can see. All right, so there's a release here. You squeeze. I say this. And then it comes sideways and straight up. That's for the handle. Then, down here, you have a red push pin. You push it down. Squeeze, lift, now the door panel's out of the way. All right, so now the next step is this part right here, this little boot thing. Kind of pull that off. Now we're exposing the 4 bolts. So there's a little, where the pick comes in handy again, there's a little red tab thing right here that locks. Pull that back, and then you depress in, and that's it. I really like this part now because instead of like the older styles and a lot of other vehicles still out there, where the wires got to go down through and trace it, it's right here. And then it's actually really, really clean the way they do that now. So now we're going to switch over to our 10 millimeter, wherever I put it. Nope, I'm wrong. Probably a 13. Stand by. Okay, it's a 13, as I guessed. I'll get you guys in there a little bit better of an angle, hopefully. All right, so you take 4, 1, 2, 3. Now, on the 4th one, get this one off the rest of the way. On the 4th one, you don't want to go crazy. You got to be able to kind of reach around and hold on to the mirror as you remove it. Don't lose the bolt, otherwise it goes in the door panel, or the nut I should say. Then you just pull the mirror right off, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Pretty easy. Now, what I'm gonna do is, his new mirror is filthy. It's disgusting. You can tell it's been sitting in a salvage yard. So we're just gonna clean this up a little bit. I want this to look a little bit nicer before I throw it back on the truck. So I'm just gonna clean that up, and then I'll be back. Okay, much better, much clearer and cleaner. I mean, it's not great, and it actually needs to be washed, but it's a lot better than it was. So, as the garbage truck goes by, get you guys back in here again. So now, same deal as when we took it off. Same deal is going to apply. Have one nut ready, and then you got to kind of reach up and over, hold it, and then just start the one nut. I actually like to go pretty much most of the way in with it. Now you don't want to go crazy and over tighten it, because then you'll break the plastic. But and I'll see a lot of guys, they'll take this with the tool and they'll actually just try and start it right off the tool. I don't like doing that because there's always a chance of cross threading. So I like to hand start all of my nuts onto the bolts. All right, tighten them up. And that's it. You don't want to go any tighter than that because you're going to mess it up. Now, reverse applies to everything. Push that back in. Push the red locking tab in. I see there's one push pin that didn't apparently want to come out. See if we can get that out before I put the door panel back on. Probably not. There she goes. Flying across the ground. Alright, so we're going to put that on the back where it was. Okay, so now we'll just back you up a little bit. To get everything all ready. I'm going to put the boot, all the way. Put the boot. There's an arrow that tells you which way it's supposed to go. Pop that back in. I mean, it's actually pretty easy. The older, like the Suburban that's in there, those were nice because it was just one triangle piece that would come off and then everything was right there. I mean, these aren't horrible. I've seen a lot worse. Like I said, the generation before this, I hated working on those things. They were a nightmare to try and get to anything. So, plug this back in, bring it around. Again, make sure you can see. I'm doing this by myself today. My wife's at work, so I don't have a camera person. That goes in. Push the lock up in, push the red lock tab back up in, then this comes in sideways, locks in, you're done. Now, this you got to bring down. This is where you got to kind of get fancy with everything. It's got to pop up through where it's supposed to go, and then as you push the door panel back on, it'll actually just lock back into where it's supposed to be. So you got to kind of get up over the tab. There's a little track there where the window sits, and this is where this has got to sit. This is where you kind of fight with this a little bit. I always make this look easier. I swear. And then I try to not lose my patience. It's so close. It's so close. And then it falls off. Just flip it on. There. Okay. Now we should start locking back up in. I mean, it's like I said, a little bit of a bugger to deal with for a minute, but it's actually pretty easy. I throw my magnet because it sticks to everything. That's magnet. We're gonna need a pair of pliers to pop these out, so we'll get those out. But in the meantime, we'll get the bolts back in. Switch back over to our 7mm. And I throw a bolt. So let's go this one. I didn't like that one. I want to go this one. So I kind of work it so I know it started, because those are tapered. These ends are tapered, so you really can't cross thread them. That one doesn't want to cooperate. So we'll do it the other way. The magnet. So again, I kind of do a little bit of circular motion before I go and zip it in there. And the two on the bottom. The one that I threw. Oops. Didn't have that right. There we go. All right. We'll pop this one in, and then I have to go get a pair of pliers to get those out. All right, so I've been messing around with this a little bit, because these things are always a pain. This is what they look like. And this pliers didn't seem to want to work, screwdriver didn't want to work, so instead I'm doing this. Pry up on the bottom, hold it out, and take and pry up on the top, and then you pull it right out. And what I'm doing is if I get the camera to focus, this inner part here, that's where it locks. That's where it actually bumps up into. I'm depressing that in, and I'm depressing it on the other side. So that's all I'm doing. So now that they're all out, all they do is just push them right back on where they were. They're gonna fight you a little bit, because, you know, of course they slightly get bent the wrong way. But you just push them back on. And they'll go back where they're supposed to go. A little bit of finessing. They have little teeth that are supposed to grab the plastic to prevent them from coming off, but I can tell you from past experience, they always come off. Every one of them. So, I don't like that first one. See if we can fix it. There we go. Now I like it. All right, so now all it does is this part goes in first. There's a little groove here, and then you just turn the whole thing in. You're done. That's how easy it is to change a mirror on these things. Really doesn't take long. So now we're going to readjust to the back, and I'm going to get the tailgate. See if I can get that fixed. All right, I'm done. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. It's kind of in a bad spot, right where the C folds over. It's in one of those crease spots. So it's really, really hard to get to. And really where I need to hit it is where it hits right in here. That's where it needs to be hit, is from the inside, but I can't get to it because the way GM did it, you can take and get access to the tailgate, but there's a whole plate that goes through here and just covers just this much of it, so I can't get to where that dent is from the inside. Otherwise, I just pop it from the inside out, and then that'd be it. But we got the mirror fixed, so now he can see when he's backing up and hopefully not hit another telephone pole. So we're going to take the truck back to him, and then I'm going to pick up my truck, and then I think this afternoon we might have another detail coming in. I think it's a 2021, I think, Nissan Titan. I can't remember what he told me it is. It's got a lot of iron deposits on it, so we're going to see if we can get that taken care of for him. Now, this truck has a pretty awesome exhaust, as you've already heard. He put a nice set in this thing. Cold air intake. She's pretty fun to drive. I haven't driven it in a while, though. I'm used to my Duramax. That obviously diesel sounds totally different, but this thing is pretty awesome. Oh, that's nice. All right, guys, got it cleaned up, got the truck. Gonna head back to the house. It's probably gonna be it for today. We'll see what goes on. I think soon I'm gonna have to do his truck and get that detailed, so we'll probably throw that in a nice little video. That'll be pretty satisfying, because I did notice when I grabbed the shifter, because of all the kitchen work and stuff that he does, the shifter's quite greasy. So we'll probably have that coming up soon. So I'm hoping next week I'll be back on the Suburban. We'll see how things go. If I can get the paperwork straightened out. There's a little bit of an issue with the the title and stuff, getting the paperwork straightened around. But I think that's finally, hopefully, going to be fixed, so I can finally get it registered and start driving it, and then we can move on with it, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So please like, subscribe, have that bell notification on, and we'll catch you in the next one.